Welcome back to Gameday Tarps podcast, episode 16. How we doing today, gentlemen?
Be good, bud.
Great, Riley.
Awesome. All right. I think we're going to start today with another coaching change. DJ Smith removed from the Ottawa Senators, replaced with Jacques Martin as the interim head coach. What are your guys' thoughts on the Senators finally doing something just before the break?
Well, it seems like they're tired of being considered a joke. I mean, they want to be in a playoff spot, right? They've been in like a rebuild for 15 years, still haven't done a whole lot.
Yeah, they're currently sitting in the bottom of the Atlantic, like just the basement. Like getting your coach fired. I mean, like, is that really gonna, be a big difference maker? Like, we just seen with the Oilers guys. Like, they got Nobla on there replacing Woodcroft. Like, is it really gonna be that much of a drastic change? I don't know. They just got thumped by the Avalanche the other night, so I don't know. I think their identity in the locker room is somewhat still missing. I mean, obviously they're losing. It's not honestly a great place to be right now, but maybe they just gotta, get a fire lit under their ass to get going again. But they got a lot of teams to jump. You know, you got the top dogs like Boston, Tampa, and Toronto to jump. I don't know.
Yeah, I think, well, for me, I've never actually liked DJ Smith. Like, if you've looked back at the Ottawa Senators in his coaching tenure, it's like they're never good. So what has he done? This team is ready to win, but he hasn't done anything to help them win. There's no way this team should be at the bottom of the league because they're basically the very basement. They're in the top or bottom three. And then you have them below Montreal. Like, Montreal is literally screaming that they are rebuilding. And both Ottawa and Buffalo are like, this is our year to make the playoffs. And they're at the bottom of their division again. So for me, I don't get why they didn't make this at the beginning of the year or the end of last year, because they just about made the playoffs, but they weren't good enough. And I think this year they should have started with a new coach and actually progressed, because now they're so far behind. But my pick for their coach, Dean Evans, I think that he'd be the perfect guy to step in right away in Ottawa and take a shot. And you know that he'd have a chip on his shoulder coming in, almost Torts-esque, to get these guys going in the right direction.
I heard Jay Woodcroft's name being thrown around too to replace
Which it should
DJ
be.
Smith.
It should
Yeah.
be. He should be in the running as well. But I think that DJ Smith and Jay Woodcroft are very 1A, 1B. They're quiet. They're likable guys. They're kind of soft in terms of the way they coach. I think that, you know how Brady Tkachuk is so brash and so aggressive? I think that they need a guy who's a brash and aggressive coach to help their captain lead the charge. The rest of the team's pretty soft outside of him. So I think that's what they need out of their coach, and I think Evason would be the perfect guy for it. Just as long as they don't hire Daryl Sutter, I think everyone will be happy. Or Mike Babcock.
Man, I remember when the new owner came in too. He's like, "What am I getting myself into here?" Like, I don't know publicly if it's considered like a shit show in Ottawa, but I mean,
I
like,
think so.
boy, oh yeah, I mean, they got a lot
And
of things to
not the
iron
new owner's
out.
fault. It's not the new
No, not
owner's
at all.
fault, but at least he's out in the open. Like, I came into an absolute crapshoot, which everyone knew. Like, no one liked the ownership in Ottawa anyways. No one really liked
Eugene
Pierre
Melnick
Dorion.
and Pierre
Yeah.
Dorian just put that team into the ground, like 6 feet under, dirt on the casket. Like they destroyed that franchise. Just it's like they didn't even want them to do, great.
Including like just their stability as like an organization, the Hoffman and Carlson issues and losing both of them, and Stone gone, and like they can't keep
JG
good players.
Pajot, Mika Zibanejad, like all these
Yeah.
guys.
Like, think
And
of what
then
their team could be.
And who did you replace the Brinket with that you could not even keep around? Aging Vladimir Tarasenko. His prime has long gone when he was with the Blues, and they thought with, suiting up Tarasenko into Brinket's place on that, wing, I feel Ottawa has a few more moves to make before they can start considering themselves a playoff contender again, because it's just not looking very pretty in the nation's capital, boys.
Yeah, I think they'll turn it around, but definitely has to start here because they are better than what they're playing.
Well, and you even got their captain coming out saying he's not even having fun anymore. So I don't know. It could be a locker room thing, right? Like I think this team wants deeply to win.
Oh yeah, and Ottawa is a great hockey town. Like, don't get me wrong. I also think myself that they way overpaid for Jacob Chikrin, and that has not really panned out what they wanted. Getting that top defenseman. I mean, you got guys coming up like Jake Sanderson, great guy. Thomas Chabot, another great defenseman. But there are some missing pieces that they will eventually find. But I mean, what this team is delivering right now on the ice just isn't it really. And now you got
It's
another guy, Claude Giroux. He isn't really, his prime self anymore. And
to me, it's got to be the defensive system because let's be real, that's the best left side defense in the NHL. Chabot, Chikrin, Sanderson, 1, 2, 3. No matter how you organize them, there's no better left side defense in the league. Right? There's better pairs and there's a better top six, like in Vegas, but there's not a better left side of the D in the league, and they're struggling. So to me, that's like it's a coaching and system issue, not a player issue. Like once I feel like whatever was restraining them, they'll get a new coach. The coach will unlock something in that defense, and they'll change. I still don't think they're making the playoffs, so they're way too far behind. But I think that they'll at least be able to unlock something.
yeah, let's not forget the last line of defense too. Your goaltending, like Jonas Corposalo and Anton Forsberg, like those are some pretty touted, top goalies right there too. It's just their playbook, their coaching staff just isn't getting their players set up properly, and it's just confusing for the players, and they're looking lost out there. I was watching the Colorado Ottawa game last night, and just Colorado was just pouncing on over them. Just Ottawa could not catch a break, hardly get out of their zone. It's just they looked lost out there, man. I swear, it honestly looks sad from an outside standpoint because, geez, it looks ugly in Ottawa.
Yeah, they need to find a new coach right away because Jack Martin is clearly not it, and he probably needs to be moved on as well. Let's jump over to some crazy news that I don't think anyone in the hockey world could believe when we found out that Martin Firk had kicked his skate up towards a player's neck and face. And not only could people not believe he did it so close after the Adam Johnson incident, they also couldn't believe he only got a 5-game suspension from the National League in Switzerland. So let's break this down because to me, like that should have been at least a season to the end of the year plus playoffs. And he knew what he was doing. He kicked his skate. He hit the guy up high. Like it was inches away from being 2 incidents in the same year where we haven't had one in forever, especially not in the pro sports. We haven't had one in history where someone has died from the skate in pro sports. Like, what do you guys think is going on with guys all of a sudden continuing this on?
Well, like if you've seen the video too, like so he's like almost in the bench, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's no reason, like you can feel the guy's arm still touching you in the back, at least what it looks like from a viewer's perspective. Why are you kicking your feet up? Why are they even leaving the ice? You know?
Yeah, like the guy was definitely stuffing him into the bench, right? As like a, get in there. But he definitely kicked his leg up for sure.
Oh, and he continued. He did it a few times, both legs.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Flailing.
oh yeah. And I don't know. I don't think 5 is enough. I think he should be fined. And were they even wearing? Yeah, they had to be wearing neck guards that game, hey?
I don't remember. I didn't look closely, but it's not mandatory in the National League yet, I don't believe.
Yeah, but that wasn't in the National League.
No, it's called the National League in Switzerland.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was thinking
No,
of
good.
NHL. Sorry.
It's all good.
All right. Well, either way, I feel like when now is the I don't know, with everything that's been going on, I feel like 5 is a slack penalty to him.
Yeah, honestly, like I don't care who you are. Like after this whole Petgrave situation with Adam Johnson, like you are negligent if you full well knowing that you're going to be flailing your feet in the air as a player is in your vicinity, you you're out of the game, man. Just go. I think 5 games is a little too little. That should have been implemented at least a 30 game or a season. Like there's just no room for that in hockey anymore.
No.
Martin Ferk should have known better not to do this, especially how soon that whole incident was. Like this is only a month fresh, right? So I think Martin Ferk should really just get a bigger suspension, take some time to reflect on that because, oh, he could go back to the interview and say, oh, I didn't know, heat of the moment. Like, well, you know what? To me, that looks like he was purposely flailing his feet around. When he knows the player is right there, like, that's dangerous.
Oh, for
There's
sure. It was intentional.
there's no backing out of that one, Chief. I'm sorry. It's dangerous. Don't fight it.
Yeah. I just can't believe that they thought so lightly of it, and that he was able to just kind of like literally skate by, basically unscathed.
Well, and, like, did you see his reaction too after Ferk? He was like, "What happened?" Like that just looked like what.
Yeah.
That's what his reaction was. It's like, no, he knew what happened, but
And let's be honest too, like he's what, a 6-year NHL veteran. So he was in the top hockey league in the world. He knows how to control his body. He knows how to play at the highest level. And he was just playing Bush League. And it's just, there's no place in it. Like, and there's one thing like the EIHL in England, right, where Adam Johnson passed, like that's a very low level league. The National League in Switzerland is quite high, right? It's up there with the Swedish Elite League and Liga in Finland. Like it's in those top 5 in Europe leagues, but like still, it's just, it makes no sense to how a guy can come NHL now to another pro league and think that this is okay. And like I said, you can see this maybe happening in like almost like a pro-am league in England, where it still shouldn't happen, but it did. But now that you're seeing like one of the top 5 leagues in Europe have this happen, it's just a joke.
But also, like, to add to your comment there, though, Riley, like, you'd think, like, growing up, like, your parents or your coach or whoever would tell you, like, make sure you try to keep your feet planted, right? Like, if you know you're going to take a fall, like, don't try to throw your feet up. Like, that's just a common sense thing that we're going back to, those episodes ago where we were just breaking down the whole why net guards should be so important in every league, all levels, regardless. Like,
You know,
yeah,
I'll jump in and I'll say honestly, no one had ever told me playing at any level not to do that, but that is because I think it's so common sense that it doesn't make sense to even bring it up. Like it's just something that doesn't even need to be discussed. It's like clearly someone can get hurt by a skate blade, so don't intentionally put your feet where someone can get hurt. Like that
well,
just to me seems as clear. And honestly, like I've never heard anyone tell me keep your feet down, watch your feet, don't do that with your foot, don't do this with your feet. Like none of that. It like refs didn't say it growing up. There was never any of that. It was like it just you knew.
I think that should change then. I think a lot of kids growing up should definitely, be told like, hey, like it's dangerous, these skate blades. Keep them down as best you can.
I agree. It should be
Regardless if
talked
you
to
think
more.
it's like muscle memory, you know what I'm just saying? Like just some extra precaution is all I'm trying to say.
no, but it
Instill
does
that.
it. But it does feel like it should be common sense that you have weapons on your feet, though. Or even that you're holding a weapon. Like
Yep.
that's
Those
just a
sticks are like
common.
katanas.
That's just a common sense concept. That you shouldn't be kicking your feet around. If you get hit and the momentum flips you, whatever,
Yeah.
that's completely accidental. But if you're flailing your feet, you know that you're playing with fire, dude.
Yep.
And that's negligent right there. There's accidents and then there's negligence, right? I 100% agree with that.
I'm surprised this player can't sue him for assault. How
Yeah.
has that not come out? And now, like, and it should be a thing in sports. Like, sports have rules, sports have hits, and they have dangerous plays, and they have severe injuries, and they have deaths on the field or on the ice, right? It happens in all sports where freak accidents happen. But if you're going beyond the rules, intentionally hurting someone, intentionally killing someone, or intentionally assaulting someone, right? Like if punches are thrown in, let's say, a soccer game, or if Myles Garrett bashing his helmet over Mason Rudolph's head, the pet grave on Adam Johnson, this Martin Firk incident, like, shouldn't these be able to be like legal offenses that can be brought in with lawyers and courts? And like, just because you're on a field or on the ice playing a sport doesn't mean you just get a freebie because, oh, I broke the rule, but I didn't break the law. It's like, no, you tried to kill that guy, or you did kill that guy, or you absolutely beat that guy to a pulp, and he's got, he needs medical stitches, all that. Like, who's going to atone for that? I think that they need to look into that more in sports, that these guys need to be brought back down to earth, that they're not superheroes above the law. They're playing a game, and the law still matters when you're just playing a game.
Do you also remember when Browns fans were glorifying the hell out of Myles Garrett smashing his helmet over Mason Rudolph? They were making memes out of it. They were praising the man. Like, it was just like, wow, you're really praising a man for injuring another player? Like, that's disgusting. Honestly, like, that's just low, man.
With one of the most solid pieces of sports equipment out there, those helmets are so
Yep, the
thick
football helmet.
and so solid that like a hockey helmet is actually quite weak, and it's quite movable and absorbable. And if you got hit with it, it would hurt, but it wouldn't do much. Like, they've noted that those are like bowling balls, hitting someone
Yeah,
over the head with a bowling ball.
Mason Rudolph wasn't even wearing his helmet either, so that
Mm-hmm.
just makes it even worse.
Well,
Like,
it
what the
was
hell are you guys
Rudolph's
doing?
helmet. It was Rudolph's helmet he was trying to hit him with, wasn't it? Like, he ripped it off his
Yeah,
head and then tried to hit him with it. Yeah. Yeah, so
I always
just,
thought Garrett was a dirty player, man. That's all I'm gonna say.
but yeah, if this happens again within this hockey season in any league, there needs to be some kind of, like, again, last episode talking about media, like, let's get the media actually putting pressure on these leagues. Like, time to talk about this everywhere. Why does this keep coming up? Why does this keep happening? 2 times is more than enough. One with a death and one was very near to an incident. That should be it forever now. Like, there shouldn't be anything intentional ever again.
Well, and to think like how many go undocumented too, probably.
Exactly. All right, back to the normal hockey news now that we've spat that out. John Tavares has scored his 1,000th point and become the 98th player to do so. So we're getting close to 100 players in the NHL that have hit 1,000 points, which is pretty cool. But good for John Tavares. Stamkos just hit his last year and the draft before him, and Tavares now at 1,000 this year. So good to see. Actually, Stamkos was the beginning of this year, and then Tavares this year. So good to see them both getting the 1,000 points, being so closely drafted together. But that shows you how injured both these guys have been, because you think with how much injury Stamkos has had, Tavares should have been there by now because he's had a good career, but he's also had some injuries along the way that have slowed his production.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I don't really have much to say on that. I mean, yeah, definitely big congratulations to Tavares hitting 1,000 points.
I'm glad he was able to do it at UBS Arena, man, just right in front of the Islander fans, and just sticking it right to them. Boo me all you want. You know what? I got to play where I want, man, and I'm loving it. And I got to score my 1,000th career goal against you, fuck. So
the hate is unreal too, because, like, come on, we all know Lou Lamoriello was a GM. He wasn't paying Tavares $11 million. Any idiot in that fan base, in that arena, can't look themselves in the mirror and say they wouldn't move from New York City to Toronto if the paycheck came from like $8 million, $9 million to $11 million. $3 extra million in your career. You're not going to move for a couple years to take that and then live wherever you want after. Like, they're idiots for being mad at him still for choosing that.
And like to probably be closer to family. Like,
yeah,
it's just a respect thing at that point, you know?
Like, yes, they got nothing for him, but that's because he was genuinely going to come back to the Islanders. And clearly, now, look at his contract. It's a nightmare for the Leafs. Clearly, the Leafs way overpaid him and brought him in way over what they should have, and now it's affecting their roster. And you're like, well, you kind of dodged a bullet here, Islanders. Your team sucks as is. You're old as dirt. Now all you'd be is older with a guy making $11 million. Like, what do you want? Like, where's the positive here? What? Yes, maybe you could have got a couple draft picks for him or whatever,
Right.
but at the same time, like,
and then you'd be booing him just for him making that much money if he stayed, you know?
exactly, they'd be booing him today at that arena. They would. They'd be like, you're overpaid. Get off the ice, right? Like,
Oh
oh,
man, they're
dude,
some of the
it's
toughest critics in the National Hockey League, those Islander fans, man. Holy, there's no pleasing them, I swear. Okay, you got your
it's
new
a
arena deal,
lose-lose.
like great, and now you're just still unhappy, miserable fucks, you know? There's no pleasing them.
Yeah, get Lou Lamoriello out of there, and then maybe you guys will have fun. Plus, like, who wants to play for a team where you can't grow you don't have a choice to grow facial hair, right?
That's
Look
such
at
a
the
New
three of
York
us.
move, man. That is such a New York move. The Yankees are the same way. I think
Exactly.
it's a New York
I'm pretty
thing.
sure. No, yeah, it's
But
all New
The
York.
Rangers can grow. Mika Zibanejad has a beard.
They're
He's
like the
got one.
only New York team, then probably. Well, I guess I can't say that. The Jets too.
The Jets, the Giants,
It must be. It must be the
The
Mets, the
Yankees.
old-fashioned
Mets,
general
The
managers.
Yankees.
the Met. But no, I'm talking. The Jets can grow facial hair. The Giants can grow facial hair. The Mets can grow
Oh,
facial hair, and the Rangers can grow facial hair. So it's just the Yankees and the Islanders who think that there's some tradition. It's like,
It's got to be the old school
what does it
managers and
matter?
owners, man. That's still pushing that.
Like, if I'm gonna be honest, if you're a tough guy who fights, Dak, I want your beard. That's a cushion, right? Like, look at a guy like Robert Bortuzzo. He's had a beard his whole career. They just had to shave him. He looks 100 pounds lighter, 45 years older, and way less intimidating. Like, it's a joke.
well, I don't remember who said it, but I definitely watched something. I think it was someone in the MLB. He was like, you almost want beards to be accepted because a lot of the younger players are gonna want it. Like the younger good players are gonna want to play on a team that allows beards, and I thought that was kind of like a true statement, you know?
Yeah, because maybe in college baseball, if you think of all college baseball, is there anyone who ever has facial hair when you see a prospect? So maybe they're not allowed in college baseball. So they come to the MLB and they're like, yeah, we can finally grow facial hair if we go to like the Texas Rangers or something like.
You might see the odd goatee, but that's about it, really.
Yeah, and I mean, those kids coming out of college, they're 24, 25 years old sometimes. So it's not like they're 18 and fresh out of puberty. Like, they should have some hair on their face if they could.
Yeah, I think it was definitely MLB.
Yeah.
It was around. I think it was around the time Soto got signed to the Yankees, but I don't know. Does Soto
Mm-hmm.
grow facial hair too often?
I don't
I
know.
don't think so.
Yeah, that's probably why he chose the Yanks then.
So yeah, moral of the story on the Islanders: it's a no fun organization. They're old as dirt, and they don't win hockey games. So why would Tavares have wanted to stay? Looking at the outlook of that team, that's
Don't
the only
forget the most
piece of
important
that.
part. Terrible fan base.
Exactly. All right, we had again more media screw up this week where former 2017 second overall pick Nolan Patrick retired at age 25 due to concussions with 32 goals, 77 points in 225 games. And he was noted as a skill specialist, video coach, and mentor. And it only took about half the day later for that to come completely crashing down and for Elliot Friedman to reach out to the Twitter world or the X world, whatever you want to call it, and say that he spoke to Nolan Patrick through text. Nolan Patrick said he did not retire and he respectfully declines any interview. So, where this came from, who started this, and why on a random day of the week, it makes no sense, but
Well,
it took traction.
I'm pretty sure he did get hired by a company. The company just said he was a retired hockey player, and then they were forced to change it to four-time, like all-pro player or something on their page. So,
I didn't see that part. That's
I mean, maybe when they hired him, they figured he would be retired.
Fair
Because
enough.
maybe they're gonna expect him to be around a little bit more than the time he would have on the ice. I don't know. Or he just doesn't want to come to terms with having to retire yet. I don't know.
Well, to be fair,
Hope.
like
Hope.
retirement is official. So a 25-year-old player who has this migraine condition he has, something happens where he can get fixed. He stays fit. He has a shot to play pro hockey still. So I can see why he's not retiring at only 25 years old.
Yeah, I feel like he definitely wants to stay in the league still.
Like there was a reason he was second overall. And the only reason he's so bad, let's call it, or not looked fondly upon is because of the
77
concussions.
points in 222 games.
Yeah. But let's be real, that's a season and a half, or 2 seasons and a half, sorry. Like he played 4 seasons in the NHL, so he missed an entire season of his 4 years, and he was always back. What do you have, 6 concussions or something? Like, just dumb luck for. Just imagine if he didn't get drafted by Philly, he'd probably still be playing in the league because he wouldn't have got that initial concussion that started this whole thing. Or if he just didn't take a shift that got him the concussion. Like, there's so many other ways to look at it that could be fixed for him, but I feel bad for him because like that Mark Johnstone guy we were talking about last episode who got his shot now at 27 fighting all the way. You had a guy who worked his way to be a top 5 NHL pick and it's just all gone. Less than 10 years later. Just no hope of playing again. So that, to me, I feel bad for him. A guy who's getting another shot, though, is Ethan Bear, who's reportedly signing with Washington for 2 years. We're not sure any cap hit, but apparently they are taking that step to get a contract signed. So it's good to see Bear get a shot again. He said that he wanted to feel like supported and wanted on a team, not just needed due to lack of depth. He didn't want to go somewhere where he felt like he was under the scrutiny of filling in some shoes. He wanted to go somewhere where he just had a chance to play. So hopefully that works out for him there and he gets a chance to prove that he's still a good defender, because I don't think he's as bad as kind of last year showed.
I'm definitely rooting for his comeback. This is one I'm definitely looking forward to see. Ethan Bear is a very good defenseman, and I'm glad he's going to get a good spot here in Washington to prove himself again this season. So congrats, Ethan. Best of luck this year.
Okay, very quick turnaround here for the player assistance program. Sam Girard has been cleared to resume practicing with the Avalanche. So he's entered what they've called the follow-up care phase of the assistance program. So it's good to see that this program worked quickly for him. It's worked well, and he's able to start resuming action again and still staying on whatever program they have for him. But at least it's going obviously positive in such a quick order for him to come around and start playing again.
Yeah, I think in a time probably when they probably need him most,
True, because
I,
they're about
I
to trade
think,
Bowen Byram.
Yeah, I mean, with the whole comment about Devon Taves, telling these, players to have accountability, and they did show it last night against Ottawa, but having a guy like Sam Girard come back on that back end, it'll be good. I'm glad that he was able to recover quickly and get over whatever was bothering him. He got the assistance he needed, and he looks like he's doing great, so that's good to see. A very valuable back end piece, that I was saying, that is now available for the Avs to have back, so it's good.
All right, so I actually want to bring that up where I just mentioned Bowen Byram, because today we saw potential trade from Dakota, your Calgary Flames, to Dallas, your Colorado Avalanche. Elias Lindholm 1-for-1 for Bowen Byram. And for those of you out there, the text chat got heated. It got heated over this. So I want to hear some talk about what do you guys think of the trade. I'll be a mediator about what I think as a non-fan of the teams, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Dak, do you think that's enough? Dallas, do you think that's too much? What is your guys' thoughts on a 1-for-1 Lindholm Byram?
I'll go first. Hold up. I don't think it will be a 1-for-1. I think Calgary would have to offer up more to get Bowen Byram. I do, just because of you don't know if Lindholm's going to re-sign with you and you don't even know if he's gonna be a big producer on that team with how he's been playing in Calgary right now. So I think a 1-for-1, no, but I do think a deal could be swayed to go to Colorado to get Byram back. But I don't know if Calgary would pull it off. Just I wouldn't mind seeing it personally, but I just don't know if it happens 1-for-1.
Yeah, I mean, Bowen Byram only has like 124 games under his belt. Like we were saying, Dakota, he's got like 53 points in that span of games. Like, truthfully, I mean, I think Colorado's going to have to end up, sending a package of maybe a first, third, and maybe even not even Bowen Byram, but like just something else, highly touted prospect, your guys' way, or Colorado, Calgary for Elias Lindholm, because I feel that Elias Lindholm's value is a little bit higher than some people suspect, but maybe Calgary is overselling him a little bit. However, with that said, I mean, Bowen Byram's trade value isn't really that great. So going back to what you were saying, Riley, like the 1-for-1, I don't realistically seeing that ever happening. Like I was saying to you guys earlier, like a 1 in a million. Like there's no way Calgary is going to want Bowen Byram straight up for Elias Lindholm. That's just Colorado will be laughing in your guys' face. But for another thing too is we don't need more scoring. We don't need upfront scoring. What we do need is more better defensemen. Curtis McDermott and Jack Johnson. Okay, what kind of back end is that, right? Like we need these good defensemen and we need to keep them. We don't need to be trading them away for more upfront scoring. We got enough of that when we got Ross Colton, you know, we got Ryan Johansson in the offseason, Miles Wood. Like what more do you guys want? You know? I don't think Colorado should be pursuing Elias Lindholm. That's all I gotta say.
I feel like we both just overhyped each other's player in that argument. I don't know why, but I don't know.
Riley, what do you
Right.
gotta say, man? You gotta jump in now.
Well, it wouldn't happen, and
You
I'm
got
going to
all the
counter you.
info.
I'm going to counter you, Dally. Calgary would laugh in Colorado's face. I think Lindholm is the only first line center available at the trade deadline, and he's not going to be cheap. Bowen Byram's injury history, I think, lessens his value, like you said. But I also think that Colorado also won't trade Bowen Byram because they value him too much. I could definitely see my idea is because Cap has to work. I think you'd see a package of Sam Girard, Ryan Johansson, a first round pick, and a prospect or another pick of some kind worked in there. I think it would be like a 4-for-1 because the closer they get to the deadline, we know Boston's talking to them. And Boston has a decent package if they were to do like Poitras, DeBrusque, Lysell, and a pick, something like that, right? It doesn't have to be that, but let's
That's
say
steep.
that's kind of their pieces, right? That's all they have is those pieces. So, but if it comes down to a bidding war for who thinks their team's going to benefit from getting Lindholm, Boston literally needs him for a first line center, but you guys in Colorado, you guys want him as a second line center to be way deeper. It sounds like they're kind of not thinking Johansson's worked out. Shocker. Welcome to every
They're
other
already
team
talking
that's
about
had him.
shopping him.
Exactly, because he's always been talked about as no good work ethic. Look, the guy wins faceoffs like a dog. There's no doubt about it. But again, no work ethic. He's not as good defensively as his game should suggest. He's not quick. He moves slow out there. I think that he's just not beneficial to Colorado the way that Elias Lindholm's two-way game would be. Very similar to Landeskog in importance, right? If you know what I mean. Like,
Well, here,
very
I'm going to jump
similar.
on that too. The only thing I can really see Calgary gaining out of this hypothetical trade is that they'll be having 1 million in cap relief because I'm pretty sure Elias is making 4.8 and Bowen Byram is making only 3.8 million in cap. So, and here's
Mm-hmm.
another thing. Bowen Byram is essentially going to be the replacement for Chris Tanev if and when Calgary decides to move him as well. Because I know Toronto is a top suitor for him as well. It's the
Mm-hmm.
only way I could hypothetically seeing that trade go through is they want Chris Tanev's replacement.
That could be. It could be, but I just don't think Colorado has him up on the block. I think they like having Makar, Tays, and Byram more than they like having Makar, Tays, and Girard. Plus, Girard's making $5 million. That's a big cap hit on defense for, let's call him defense 5 or 6, right? Really good offensively, but sometimes he's lacking defensively, right? Maybe he's going to solve that with this player assistance thing. Who knows, right? Maybe it was alcohol related where his play dipped and fell off and whatnot, right? So who knows? But I think that they value Byram over Girard, contract wise, age wise, potential wise, value to the team wise. I think all those mean Byram's not going anywhere. But I personally think Colorado's going to win the sweepstakes for Lindholm. I don't think it's going to be Boston. I think that they just won't stomach up the package that Calgary wants, where I think that you guys are going to have contracts that you want to move out and you'll be able to make it work with contracts.
I mean, right now we have 5.6 million in cap space, and we also currently have a first round pick in the next 3 drafts. And I mean, I don't know. You and I were going back and forth with this one, Dakota. Like, do you really think that Bowen Byram just really isn't that great of a defenseman that you guys should theoretically go out and get?
No, dude. What I'm saying is Calgary would want that trade. Colorado won't want that trade, though.
Yeah.
I think it's the other way around.
No, the Lindholm Byram thing, Calgary would want that because of where they want to go. They want a roster player who's young. So obviously Calgary would want that trade more than Colorado would, I think.
Yeah.
So Calgary would have to sweeten that deal, but I don't know if they would want Johansson, though, is what I'm thinking.
So the one way, let's just throw another hypothetical out there because this is obviously I think every team that has some cap space is also asking Calgary this. What if we're talking out of the blue, Lindholm and Hanifin, both to the Avs? Now, Byram, I think, would be in that package. For sure. Now, that
100%.
The Avs would have to guarantee that they were re-signing these players before the trade went through, right? Like it would be a sign and trade.
Sign and trade, yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be a guarantee, but they would give up Byram. Johansson would have to be a part of it. There would have to be someone else who's got a bit of a cap hit that Calgary doesn't have many years, and they want to kind of evaluate someone maybe younger. And maybe Val Nichushkin, maybe he's frustrating his team so much that Nichushkin gets shipped out in that deal, right? Like Nichushkin and Byram even, and leave Johansson there, right? Like you never know what could progress, but Lindholm and Hanifin package deal to Colorado, definitely Byram's in that.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like in Calgary's best interest, you separate those two. You get the best of what you could in separate trades,
Well, the thing is, too, is that Valeri Nichushkin has a no-move clause, but Ryan Johansson doesn't have a no-move clause. So I think, theoretically, Ryan Johansson would be another piece going back the other way to you guys. But, I mean, obviously, Valeri Nichushkin would be the better cap dump, but I don't think it's going to happen. But you never know. Valeri could get bored, and he could be like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to waive my no-move clause, and I'm going to go play in Calgary.
Well, it's just because there was that whole news in the playoffs that people or the team thought that Nichushkin wasn't giving it his all. He felt like he was a detriment to the team. And so that's where my thought process came up. Like, if things are really that bad, like Tays is snapping in the locker room, like maybe that's aimed at Nichushkin too, right? Like maybe that's stemming back to last year's playoffs. Like,
yeah,
it was aimed at 5 or 6 players, they think, right? So is Nichushkin one? Is he not one? Does that include Ross Colton? Does that include
Terry Lehkonen even? We haven't even mentioned him yet.
Yeah, it's got to include Lehkonen with the way his dad was talking. So, who is he including in that conversation of calling guys out? Because it's not Makar and it's not McKinnon. That's for sure. Maybe Rantanen a little bit because he's slacking, and maybe that was Taves also clapping back at Rantanen for calling out Lekkonen's dad in the media. He's kind of calling out some
They
top
need
players
Landy
that are
back so
slacking.
bad. They are falling apart in that locker room.
They
They
are.
need Landeskog back.
Or
Which
boys.
also I heard. Yeah, I also heard today that he's going to be resuming on ice rehab, so that's good to hear.
That's good.
So he'll be
Or,
back hopefully by the playoffs.
or boys, hypothetically, a 3-way trade. Because if Colorado's looking at centers, they could also look at Sean Monahan from Montreal. Now, say Monahan and Lindholm both end up in Colorado,
Yep.
and Byram ends up in Calgary. Johansson goes to Montreal, and picks would come back to Calgary, like maybe a first or a second.
You guys get your own first back
Yeah, dude, that'd be sick.
from Montreal.
That's not a bad trade at all.
Yeah, I think that would be something that Colorado would consider with the way Monahan's playing and Lindholm coming in. Like they would definitely be like, yeah, we'll do that. Get Johansson off the books, send Johansson to another purgatory team, and just leave him there to rot. I could see that.
I mean, maybe a first is steep, but a couple
I don't think
seconds.
so. No, because you're still giving up Lindholm. Well, I guess you're getting Byram. So yeah, we call. I mean, there'd be a pick for sure if it was a late first,
Or
like
even like a
maybe
prospect, like a later, like maybe not a first
because
round, but like a
they
second
could
round prospect.
they could even
You'll
do a
probably get a
switcheroo.
2026 second rounder. That's what we got.
Like, what if Colorado sent their pick to Montreal with Johansson, and then Montreal traded your pick back to Calgary, right? Calgary's pick back to Calgary, and it like rotated around like that. So picks were on the move, but teams still ended up with getting what they want or whatever. I don't know if, that's basically trading like, let's say 30th overall for what's going to be like 12th overall right now. But who knows? Who knows what Montreal could do if they were in that situation.
I feel like Montreal's going to be sellers too, so.
They are, for sure. They're going to
Yeah.
be looking to take on contracts, which is why Johansson is a fit in that scenario.
That'd be also sick, dude. Just to see like Monahan and like think Lindholm can play wing as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that'd be a smart move in Colorado's favor, even.
I think it would benefit all teams around.
Oh, for sure.
We'll see. We'll pitch that. Someone needs to call those guys. Give them a pitch. All right. Vegas today just extended Ben Hutton for 2 years, $975K a year. Just a depth signing, but thought we'd throw that in there because it just happened. So Vegas's defense that doesn't need Hutton whatsoever. They re-signed him. I'm sure he's just on the Silver Knights, I think. So it's definitely just a minor deal. But, he's not on the Bronze Knights.
Dude, maybe he'll captain the what are they? The Night Monsters?
The Night Monsters. Oh, still should be the
That's
Bronze Knights to
disgusting,
this
man.
day.
That's disgusting.
Disgrace.
All right, let's jump into a tarp situation here. We have Bleacher Report. They made 8 NHL jerseys we never want to see again, and jerseys and uniforms. So we're going to go into that. At number 8, they have the 2013 to 15 Buffalo Sabres alternates. They are the pure yellow, blue stripes with the silver. I kind of liked Buffalo a little bit growing up, and I thought that the yellow was cool. I was like, oh, this is sweet. I like this. I will admit it's not one of the better jerseys. I will probably more so admit that because of my fandom during the time, as like a second or third team behind the Lightning I cheered for, I was like, oh, these are kind of neat alternates. They were doing different alternates compared to other teams. I was like, oh, it's kind of cool.
One of the
Your guys'
weirdest tarp
thoughts?
reviews I've ever heard.
I don't
Those
know.
are gross. Those are gross in my opinion.
I think they're pretty
Oh.
ugly, dude.
And that's fine.
I feel like that's like sick to like a child, but I feel like that's gross as like an adult fan, you know?
I'd still run them.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
remember,
You
I,
know,
I remember, boys, back when NHL 14 came out, and like you can get like that Buffalo Sabres jersey is like an exclusive for that year, and I was like, the hell do I want this for? It's so
Yeah,
gross. Like I
it's
hardly
because
even
it
want to
was
look at it.
exclusive. It's exclusive because it's sick. That's why. All right, let's jump to number 7. The ketchup and mustard Calgary Flames 2011 Heritage Classic with the white C in the middle. I think that these are mostly hated by everyone, but I will say in this photo it shows the pants. Love the pants. The pants are sick. The
dude, I'm
white
not gonna
off
lie,
white with
dude.
the
I
red.
dig them. I dig them personally. I dig them.
Yeah, they're pretty sick.
We're just all on opposite. I did tell you
All
guys when we
thumbs
went through
up.
this, like I like 5 of these out of the 8, so I know I'm just gonna get flamed by everyone who hates them because I'm apparently a whack job when it comes to my tarp reviews and my tarp ratings. So,
Well,
but
you are.
I don't like
Hey
them.
man,
I
we
don't
just
like
got
them.
we just got different tastes in tarps. Nothing wrong with that.
All right,
I
number
mean,
6.
honestly, I'd even go with the mustard over the cream and the pants, dude.
Oh,
I'm not gonna lie. That would look cooler than that setup, but
that was a dumb
I
combo with
yeah,
the
it's a
white
dumb
pants.
combo,
With the
but
white pants, yeah.
I think I dig the jersey personally, so I don't know.
Number 6, basically. Well, it is my all-time favorite Buffalo Sabres jersey. Some people call it the Buffa Slug. I think it's sick. It is literally the sword edge with a buffalo on the end of it. I thought this was the best jersey in the NHL when it came out. I absolutely loved it. I still love it to this day. I have the dark blue version of this jersey. They're more so trashing the white version of it here, but I love this jersey so much. It's got crisp lines, good coloring. I love it. I love the number on the right shoulder. I love it. Absolutely love it.
You sound like you're reviewing a tattoo, dude. It's got sick line work, man.
It does, man. It's got sick
Uh,
line work.
Jason Palmaville
eh.
too with the
They were good then.
right
Once upon a
on.
time. What are
Wow.
your guys? You guys don't like them?
No.
God
Oh my
no,
goodness.
man.
Oh man. All right. Well, let's continue the trend here because at number 5 is the Atlanta Thrashers 2008 to 2011 alternates, and let me tell you, I love this jersey. It is so sick. No one else has had that kind of a dark red. They have the Roadrunner on the shoulder, just Thrasher spelled out on the chest with a big bold number. It's different. It's cool. I was a Thrashers fan right around the time I decided to be a Lightning fan way back in the day. So I fell in love with anything the Thrashers did, and this was one of those. And I love this jersey.
Two
If
words that only screams Atlanta. Ilya
it
Kovalchuk, the
Yeah, okay, this
only
isn't their
person that
blue
can make
jersey.
that jersey look good.
Their blue jerseys were unreal. Like, there's no comparison. The blue ones that had like the Thrashers down the sleeve in the dark blue, those were unreal. I love those so much, but I still like this. I've liked every Thrashers jersey they've ever had, so
it honestly feels Looney Tune-ish, but
it does.
I I like it. I dig it.
Okay, number 4, which is
That
actually my all-time
that
favorite hockey jersey of all time. The Tampa Bay Lightning 1996 to 1999 alternate with the raindrops, the lightning bolts on the arm, the blue backdrop, and the silver shoulders. My all-time favorite jersey of all. I hate the logo. I hated that Tampa logo, but the jersey itself is my all-time favorite Lightning jersey. When it's available in an NHL video game, I throw that thing on those guys. The whites that they just recreated, I was in heaven. This jersey and that jersey, probably my next 2 Lightning jerseys, no doubt about it. Uh, there's no way that I'm gonna go with any longer without owning those because they are gorgeous, in my opinion.
Buddy, I keep telling you to buy one, but guy still refuses.
I know I'll get one eventually.
I still like the logo though. I like when the old retro Tampa Bay logo where it said Tampa Bay at the top with the silver crested lightning. I think that actually looks pretty good. when Tampa actually uses that accented, silver lining, it actually makes the jerseys pop a little bit more. It's definitely different from your typical just blue and white. I like the silver. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah, that's my all-time favorite, and I know almost no one in the world agrees with me, but that was. Okay, we can start getting into jerseys I don't love now. The LA Kings 1995-96 alternates in partnership with Burger King. The whites, they have the king with the purple beard on the left with a crown. They have a gray swoop coming across, and it's chaotic. It's wild. The partnership is kind of a neat idea, but other than that, it's pretty much, yeah, something that shouldn't be thought of again or used again.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. I think
no,
they're hideous.
for sure. I agree with that.
I also heard. Well, speaking of Kings jerseys, I also seen a report that like the Kings are kicking tires on the idea of changing up their jerseys again. Now, I don't know what that entails, if it's a rebrand or not, but like I wouldn't be opposed to having them bring back the yellow and purples. They were the only team to ever bring
I'm pretty sure we
purple
talked
and
about
yellow.
that like way
Yeah,
back when, dude.
yellow and
Well, I'm
purple.
going to talk about
I
it
want it.
again. I hope they do it.
I'm
I
pretty
hope
sure we
so.
said that there's too much black in like the hockey jersey world, and that the Kings need to bring back the purple and yellow jerseys.
Well, and
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Bring
They're
some
kicking
color to
tires
the
on the
league.
idea, so they might
like I
actually do
get
it.
they wanted to rebrand to not be like the Los Angeles Lakers of hockey, right? Who are just purple and
Oh,
gold. But
fair
come
enough.
on. Who no, like you're in Los Angeles, the Lakers are Los Angeles. Be the hockey version of the Lakers. Like every time they put those jerseys on, purple and gold, fans go crazy. No one cares about the black, white, and silver. No one wants it anymore. They won their cups in it. That's fine. In a couple years, you can make it a retro reverse, black and silver. Good enough.
Yeah,
Keep the same logo, the same style, the updated style, purple and yellow. Way better.
I'm on board with
Okay.
that.
Number 2, and I think almost everyone agrees with this one. It is the Philadelphia Flyers, 1981-82 aways, and the Cooper All pant, the complete pant leg, not the pants with the socks. Um, they're neat for warm-ups, like we've seen the Carolina Hurricanes do in their Whalers jerseys. And I think we saw the Flyers do it as well. They wore them in warm-ups. But that's about as far as that should go. Because these were goofy and stupid. I can't believe the players didn't complain about movement issues and all sorts of stuff because they were atrocious.
Any Flyers jersey looks utterly disgusting. I don't care. They're all fucking bad.
I'll jump on that. I'm not a bit. I like orange, good color, but their color scheme and the way that they deploy what they do, not good. So, yeah, I'm not a
I'm
fan for sure.
surprised you're not a Philly fan, despite that you're a Lions fan, bud.
Buddy, just because
It's the same color
I like
scheme,
I
bro.
like the BC Lions doesn't mean I want to be a Flyers fan based on their color. What are you assuming? Buddy, that's
Same
football though,
same color scheme though,
Canadian football. I love the BC Lions jerseys, don't get me wrong. They're amazing. But no, not the Flyers. Not in a million years, buddy. Not in a
It's like
million
the
years.
Flyers, but football. Just
Yeah,
kidding.
actually no. BC's new jerseys, they're silver and orange and black
Yeah,
now.
though, you know what they do? They
They
do a good job.
updated.
BC does a good job. They do a better job than the Flyers of making those colors work. All right, the last one, number
Yeah,
1.
take notes, Flyers.
Do not bring back Montreal Canadiens 2009 throwback. Let's call it the candy cane stripes, I guess. Red, white, and blue the whole way down, layered with white numbers. And yeah, I don't know if you'll find anyone that's a fan of this jersey, because I'm definitely not.
Yeah, no, yeah, no, I don't think gray look good on them.
Yeah, there's a reason they haven't come back, I'll tell you that. Like, they were widely disliked in the hockey world as a whole. So, no doubt in my mind that these will not come back unless it's a I could see them doing like for fun, like a 25-year anniversary jersey of this jersey, like just to give fans who didn't get to see how terrible it was a chance to see it again and in action, and they'll realize that it was still a mistake.
That jersey just needs to be locked in storage and never seen again.
Exactly. All right. We had more fake news, but we're going to have some fun with this one. This is baseball again. We actually know least about baseball as a podcast, but we seem to talk about it a lot all of a sudden with Otani. We'll quickly throw in there that Yamamoto guy signed. They have spent over $1 billion on two players from Japan, one who has never pitched an inning in the Major League Baseball. So just throwing that out there. That's wild that the Dodgers are doing that. But um, over the weekend, there was news that broke that, and this ended up being a Disney parody site, but that Disney purchased the Tampa Bay Rays. We're moving them to Orlando Disney World. We're building a stadium. The stadium was going to be decked out in different themes all around. The biggest kicker that really kind of let it be known that it was weird was that the elevators were going to be the Tower of Terror drops, not normal elevators. So that kind of first threw off people, like, that makes no sense. And then, but the cool thing, since we are a tarp review podcast and like to talk about tarps here, was the tarps or the jerseys that they were going to be wearing with all the different movie genres and everything that they could do. They were going to wear a different one every series because they had unlimited options. To me, that was the coolest thing. I was like, okay, that's kind of neat. Now, the one thing I did see is like they had pirates for Pirates of the Caribbean. Obviously, with the Pittsburgh Pirates, they could not do the pirate. Like that wouldn't work. But the rest of them seemed to make stars. Cars, Woody, what was it? To Infinity and Beyond or Spaceland or whatever they had for Buzz Lightyear. Like there was options for all these jerseys. So to me, it was a neat idea. Maybe Disney's going to actually be thinking about something like that now. Like, because they weren't wrong that even though the Rays are a good team, they have the 27th worst attendance in the Major League Baseball. And that's one of the reasons why the Athletics moved, but they were a bad team. So they made it very believable in their story. They made the price ranges believable. They made that arena believable. They had even like, oh, they're going to put a tram right to the arena, and they're going to be doing a whole bunch of these different things. And it made a lot of sense what they were saying, but it was indeed fake. But I thought we'd have some fun with it and discuss what we think would be this cool idea of Disney buying a baseball team.
Well, I'll throw in a fact there is that the Tampa Bay Rays have always been notoriously known for having some of the worst attendance records in Major League Baseball. You can't sugarcoat it any better. I mean, Tropicana Field is one of the worst stadiums to play in at all 30 ballparks. No one likes going there. It would honestly do make sense if they were to move down the highway, the freeway, to Orlando. Disney can do it, and they would build an amazing ballpark, as we were just alluding to. Tropicana Field is getting out of date. No one likes to play there. The place looks like a dump. No one wants to go watch the Rays. Like, we're talking like the Rays used to be nuts, okay? They went to the '08 World Series. They lost to Philadelphia. They went to the World Series a few years ago. They lost, but you know what? The Rays are a good team. I would hate to see the city of Tampa lose the franchise, but I think as the franchise to be successful moving forward is that either Tampa Bay needs to build them a new arena ASAP, or they're going to have to lose the franchise to Orlando. But you know what? As a whole, the future looks bright. I think it'd be awesome if they could do it in Orlando, Disney themed and whatnot. But honestly, yeah, Tropicana Field and the Tampa Bay Rays do not mix well.
I think I wouldn't even be upset. But so as like I guess a defunct Rays fan, as a Lightning fan, I've kind of grown to like the Bucks and the Rays, and so it's been a good time to be a fan of those teams. But I don't think I'd be upset. I mean, why? Who wouldn't want to capitalize on that idea? You have all these families that go to Disney, right? There's thousands of people at Disney World. It's such a large park. And then they now have an option to go to a baseball game at night. And then the whole other attendance of, Orlando, Tampa area also can come to the game. right? Like that makes sense to me. You're going to automatically pull in so many people who would never go to Orlando for a baseball game now have the option to go to a baseball game in the same place. They can go on roller coasters, see a safari with live animals, and they can do like really anything. Disney World is so big, you can do anything there, and it's like now you can watch a sporting event that you couldn't do before. So I think
Well,
it would change the dynamic of any team that moved there.
well, they also got the ESPN Wild World of Sports there too in downtown Disney. Like it just makes sense. You're smack dab in the middle of Tampa and Miami, as Orlando is, right? So anybody in surrounding areas can just come on in and watch a ball game too. Like think of how much revenue that Disney already makes having them come to the theme parks, let alone the franchise of the Tampa Bay Rays could also be making a hell of a payday of having these people come in to watch the baseball game too. So it's definitely a good business venture. Don't be surprised if it actually happens.
Their team name was lame though. I wanted to spitball this. It was the D23s. I was thinking something like the Orlando Disneys or something else, but like that was the fun name they threw out there. But like it's obviously got to be Orlando because it's always named after the city. But like it's got to be something better than D23 like that.
They already have something called the D23 Expo every year, so I don't know. I don't know where they got that name from.
I think it was literally Disney and the year 2023. I think was how they just goofed that around. And
Boring.
yeah, and they were saying, "Oh, the first team ever to have a number in their name." Right? But I think it would have to be like the Orlando Disneys or like literally call it Disney World or Orlando or something. Like it's got to have Orlando in it somehow, but it's also got to have Disney in it if they were to do that.
But like, imagine being a jersey collector for that team, dude.
Think of the money they'd make though.
Exactly, dude.
Like, oh my gosh,
Imagine how
every
many
series.
people would be like wanting to just keep going with the team and collect every jersey until like one day they just ran out of ideas and you'd be like, yeah, I got every single one.
Well, dude, just like literally, you can think like, okay, one of these jerseys is Nemo, right? So you could do a jersey with just Nemo on it. Then there's Finding Dory. Then there's Nemo's dad. There's the turtle dad, the turtle kid. That's just one jersey. There's the big shark that turns bad and tries to eat them. Then there's the other shark and the other shark.
Bruce.
There's the bird. There's the girl with the braces. There's all the fish in the fish tank. Like, how many ideas could they take one single movie, right? Let alone every movie from Disney, Pixar, Pirates of the Caribbean, Marvel, Star Wars. Like, it would be never ending. They would never run out of
Simpsons.
stuff. Simpsons, yeah. They
Well, and
would
Disney
never
owns
run
like
out.
literally everything. Yeah.
It would be multiple hundreds of years of jerseys, which is why I think they should. That was the only thing I was pumped for. I was like, this would be so sick to do. Like, just have a jersey with Johnny Depp doing his infamous run away from like that whole tribe in the background, like just something goofy like that. Like, that'd be hilarious to see on a jersey. You could do so much. But that was our little fun segment. I thought I'd throw that in there because you know what? Someone had a good time. It spread like crazy online. It was flying around out there. So I thought, that's a fun story. Let's throw it in here. All right, back to the NHL. To the biggest NHL trades that almost happened. These are some big stories here. I actually had a magazine back in the day, back in 2009, with this story in it between Tampa Bay and the Montreal Canadiens, where Vincent Lecavalier was going to be traded to the Montreal Canadiens, and then I believe it was the general manager wanted to do it. The owners wanted to do it, and the general manager kiboshed it. So it was going to be prospect PK Subban and multiple first-round picks were said to be a part of the offer. The offer either had Subban or McDonough, who was a draft pick at the time, had Carey Price, Max Pacioretty, and a first-round pick. So Tampa could have got Subban or McDonough, Carey Price, Pacioretty, and a first-round pick for Lecavalier and Tampa Bay's owner, kiboshed, or GM, I forget which one, but they kiboshed it. And they also say they offered up a package of Josh Georges, Thomas Plekanec, Chris Higgins, and other parts as part of the trade. So that would have been a massive trade back in the day, seeing Lecavalier go. They also said it would have aged terribly because 4 years later, the Lightning bought out Lecavalier, and he was out of the league by 2015. That would have been a huge future for them to give up for not a lot of production from
Well,
Lecavalier.
tell me something, Riley. Do you remember those picks that Tampa Bay ended up using anyways that they theoretically could have been sending to Montreal? Like, do you remember who they ended up just selecting with those first round picks?
No, they weren't sending any picks. It was just Lecavalier
Oh,
for Subban or McDonough, Price, Pacioretty, and a first round pick. So I don't know who that who was it? 09 first round pick? Let's call it.
so
Well, if it was
Montreal's.
09, let's call it 2010 first round pick. So who did Montreal draft in 2010 in the first round? If they even kept that pick, they could have traded it somewhere else too. I don't remember, but that's whoever Tampa could have potentially drafted. I don't think they were a big name because they're not there. I feel like no, because Stitsons were too old at that point. Are you looking it up, Dally?
I am.
Okay. Oh, well, I'll jump on to the next one, then you can kick in with that. So next one, I didn't even know this one almost happened. In 2007, Pavel Datsyuk for Scott Gomez. 1-for-1 almost happened. Datsyuk was becoming a free agent at the end of the year. They were looking for a trade, and I believe Scott Gomez, he was also due to be a free agent at the end of the year, so it was like a free agent for free agent swap. Obviously, we all know that worked out way better for Detroit, not trading Datsyuk, because they then won the Cup the next year, I believe. So I think that, that obviously turned out really good for them. And
You guys dodged a bullet. It was Jared Tenorti.
it was Tenorti. All right. Yeah, so he's been bouncing around.
22nd overall.
Okay. Well, there we go. It's a good thing Tampa. Well, I mean, I guess you take Jared Tenorti if you got Subban, Price, Pacioretty. That'd be not a bad.
The only
list.
notable in that draft, like after him, would have been Evgeny Kuznetsov. That's really it. Like just a weak first round.
Yeah, 2010 was a weak year. Any thoughts on Gomez for Datsyuk, Dally?
Scott Gomez.
Yeah, 1-for-1. They were both free agents.
And he was with New Jersey, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Detroit would have gotten another Bobby Probert style player. I mean, Scott Gomez was just an absolute animal on the ice. But honestly, I think with keeping Datsyuk in Detroit, like he was just the magic man. He's, very talented. He obviously had an illustrious career with Detroit. So I think that keeping Datsyuk in Motown, I think honestly they still would have won. I mean, I honestly think 1-for-1 with Gomez for Datsyuk. I would not have done it if I was the owner. 100%. I don't think that Detroit would have got on the winning end of that stick, to be honest.
Yeah, I think Datsyuk had a more illustrious career in Detroit, so I think Detroit would have got scammed out of that trade.
Yeah.
Scammer gets scammed, buddy.
Yeah, so he scored 97 points the next year, and then they won the Cup. So they really did win. Like, he was a big reason they won that 08 Cup.
Yeah, and then went back to it in 09, right? So
yeah. The next trade, 2006, Chris Pronger to the Toronto Maple Leafs. He ended up going to the Anaheim Ducks this year when the Ducks won the Cup in 07, but he was going to go to the Maple Leafs. What'd they get for him? Thomas Caberlet was involved in the trade. Doesn't seem to say much else. Oh, there we go. Joffrey Lupul, Ladislav Smid, and 2 first-round picks were also thrown around. Oh, and a second-round pick. But he'd go on to the Ducks and help them win a Cup. Or the following year, he went to the Ducks and helped them win a Cup. And Caberlet was no longer with the team by the time that ended. This is probably outside of the Lecavalier one, which was huge in the moment, but this one would probably have the biggest impact on the game today. PK Subban for Leon Draisaitl. 1-for-1.
that is deep. My God.
Edmonton would have lost.
Oh, big time. PK's out of the league, and Draisaitl's scoring 130 points a year. without a doubt. And so this was the year that they traded Subban to Nashville for Shea Weber. Where do they say? But before that occurred, the Oilers were interested in Subban. High asking price that included Draisaitl, the Oilers' first-round pick, 4th overall in 2016, along with either Darnell Nurse or Oscar Klefbom. This was the package that Montreal wanted for PK Subban, who they only got Shea Weber for, which was a big deal that day. I remember that trade. It was huge. But at the end of the day, both of them just basically fell off a cliff. And it ended up being completely even for both sides. Other than Montreal making it to the finals versus Tampa.
Montreal had their greedy little fingers just all over that, I'm guessing. Just salivating at the thought if they could have gotten Leon Draisaitl, that first round pick. Like, man, could you imagine? Like, what a high asking price that is. Just absurd.
Yeah, and the 4th overall pick was Jesse Puljujärvi, who obviously
Not a huge
hasn't
loss
worked
there.
out, but maybe they wouldn't have drafted Puljujärvi. Although
true.
pretty much that whole first round of the 2016 draft has basically been mostly bust.
So Dallas, I don't think it was Montreal that would have got Draisaitl. It was Nashville.
Was it Nashville?
No, it was Montreal. Sorry, Dak.
Oh, it was Montreal.
It was
okay,
Montreal.
yeah.
Yeah, it was right before. It was in the same time they traded him for Weber 1-for-1. This trade was going on as well. This was also in the back.
Marc Bergevin just had his greedy little fingers. He was going to get Leon Draisaitl. Like, man.
I know.
Edmonton would have been
Oh,
screaming at themselves.
You're right. No,
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
right,
man.
The picture just messed me up.
There are 2 Tampa ones on here. The second one is Steven Stamkos to the New York Rangers, his draft year. So this, I don't know if you guys knew this, but this is widely true. The coach of Tampa Bay hated Stamkos when they drafted him. He only lasted the 1 year with Stamkos, and they fired the coach because he was scratching him, benching him. Basically what you're seeing in Columbus today is what was happening in Tampa to Stamkos. There's a reason why his goals were limited his first year, and he really wasn't given a chance to blossom. The next year, he scored 50 goals. Like, when he had a better coach. So, but it was Stamkos to the New York Rangers for basically all his future teammates. It was going to be a package that included Ryan Callahan, Brandon Dubinsky, and Dan Girardi, obviously when they were all younger as well. Callahan and Girardi both ended up being a part of the Lightning anyways. Dubinsky did not. But it says here, the deal fell apart when Barry ran it by the Lightning general. So this is the owner, too. The owner was making this trade on a side deal, and then he ran it by the Lightning general manager, Brad Lawton, who wanted no part of it, and co-owner Oren Kulis shot it down, and that was the end of it. Pretty much right after this year as well, not only was the coach not there, but Jeff Vinik became the owner of the Lightning after that and really transformed them into who they are now. But so this ownership didn't even give Stamkos a year, and they were already looking to get rid of him to the Rangers. And we could not handle the Rangers with Stamkos, I tell you that.
Yeah, and Brandon Dubinsky.
That would have looked bad on Tampa Bay's part for sure.
Huge.
Yeah, and Brandon Dubinsky ended up just being on the Columbus Blue Jackets after that anyways, but I mean,
trading Stamkos now doesn't seem so bad, though.
It doesn't seem so unrealistic. It hurts my heart, but it doesn't seem so unrealistic. And I don't think it'll happen. They're going to let him walk for nothing. They will not disrespect him so much to ask him to waive his no-move clause. Guaranteed. They won't. They'll just be
Riley,
like, you can choose to walk off.
Riley, I bet you were having a field day back in the day about that head coach and that, just as much as you were having a field day last episode about, the head coach of Columbus and the general manager.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't.
Benching all the young players like Fantilli and that.
Yeah. Like, you don't draft a kid top 5 overall, and then as the coach and general manager, pick him to be on your team, and then not play him. Especially because Tampa, surprise, they sucked so bad they got 2nd overall and got Hedman the next year. So it's not like they were good. right? So they got Stamkos, and it's all worked out, obviously, for them. All right, next one, another huge one here. Steve Yzerman was going to be traded to the Ottawa Senators in 1990. What did they want for him? Doesn't seem to say.
Alexandra Diego, probably.
Oh, here it is. Oh, yeah, it was. It was. Diego,
Yeah.
yeah.
The next Joe Sakic.
Mike Ilitch did not let. So both Ken Holland, who was the assistant GM, and Scotty Bowman, who was the GM of the team, both went to Mike Ilitch, the owner, with the deal. And Ilitch let it be known that Yzerman was not available. Oh, was available. Oh, which didn't sit well with the Wings' longtime captain. I'm reading this wrong. Oh, it was Yashin, too. Who's all in this? Hold up. Okay. Yzerman. Sorry, I'm reading through it, but I don't see exactly where it says. Senators GM offered up center Alexei Yashin for him. Okay, so it was actually just Yashin, not Daigle. Yashin for actually, because Daigle was 1996 draft, so he was the year after that they got Daigle.
No, fair enough.
And so it would have been Yashin for Yzerman. So obviously Detroit made out better because he was on. How many cups did they win in the 90s and 2000s? Like 3?
Was it 90, 96, 03, 08?
A 1, right? A 1? I think. Maybe not. I don't know. But he won. Either way, he won like 3 cups with Detroit after that trade.
We're gonna look it up. We're gonna look it up.
Sounds good.
Gotta get our facts straight, boys.
While you look it up, I'll jump on to Dennis Potvin to the Montreal Canadiens. So if they had agreed to the trade, trading the number 1 pick to the Montreal Canadiens. So I believe that's what this one was. He was the first overall pick, and he was going to be traded. Or that pick was going to be traded.
Yeah, so 96, 97, 01, 02, 07, 08. There you go.
Yeah, so it just sounded like they were going to trade Potvin to Montreal, and then he ended up being as good as he was. So that would be a big one. And then I think this is the last one here. Mark Messier for Brett Hall. I think that one is just self-explanatory. That would have been a huge trade, a huge 1-for-1, and it obviously didn't happen, and it would have been crazy if it did. That would have broke the hockey world back in the day.
Like, are we talking like Edmonton Mark Messier or New York?
Rangers okay. Messier for Brett Hall. So they were both around the same age. They were both aging. So it would have still been a huge trade in the day. And the last one was Eric Lindros to the New York Rangers as well. So the Rangers would have sent Tony Amonte, Alexei Kovalev, Doug Waite, John Van Briesbroek, 3 first-round draft picks, and $12 million cash to the Nordiques. So this was when he was on the Nordiques, and then he got traded to the Flyers. When he said he refused to play for the Nordiques, that is the haul that they would have got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players, 3 first-round picks, and $12 million. That is a crazy amount of assets that they were trying to give up for Eric Lindros. Oh, sorry, there's one more I missed earlier when I was reading this. Wayne Gretzky to the Vancouver Canucks. I did not see this or hear this.
I just read the haul too. Edmonton was offering to Vancouver this deal. Apparently Edmonton wanted Pocklington. They wanted $25 million in cash, goaltender Kirk McLean, winger Greg Adams, and 3 first-round draft picks.
Jeez.
And that's what Edmonton wanted for Gretzky.
Holy cow.
Now, I don't know what that pick ended up being, but like, whew. Could you imagine?
That's steep.
This must have been when he went to LA, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, instead.
So it worked out, I think, in the hockey world wise, but I feel like that could have worked out in Vancouver's favor in theory.
Oh, definitely. I mean, keeping him in a Canadian market would have been huge. But we all know the NHL had its fingerprints on him going to LA to grow the game.
Apparently, Burke said Canucks couldn't afford to cover the money Pocklington sought. Burke also didn't want to part with McLean and Adams. I feel like, but you could have though. I feel like at the
Gretzky,
time you could have.
Okay, let's be real. You part with $25 million. How much money does Wayne Gretzky make you in advertisement, jersey sales, ticket sales? Like, come on. The guy was a walking casino slot machine. Just keep pushing the handle and it's winning every time. And there's no way that any team thought that wouldn't be good, but I guess the Canucks didn't. All right, well that was it. Those were the trades that I saw. I thought that I had to throw that in there because I was like, these are some huge trades that, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas of the NHL world that could have changed who knows what in the history books. But it's always fun to have those stories come out and see. And the last story we have here is the top 7 defensive pairings in the NHL. And I think we can go through these quickly. And number 7, I think, will surprise you guys. It is Nick Seeler and Sean Walker of the Philadelphia Flyers. They have been ranked by Bleacher Report as the 7th best defensive pairing in the NHL right now. What are your guys' thoughts on that in Philadelphia?
Well, I guess I haven't really been paying attention much to really notice them at 7. I still don't hear much from Sean Walker or Seeler, personally.
Sealer just got a 10-minute misconduct tonight against Detroit.
I watched that. That was a joke. He should not.
That was wow.
Did
What
you
a
see
game!
what happened?
Oh yeah.
No.
He was trying to go after the ref too. After the linesman was escorting him off the ice too. It was gnarly, man. He's screaming, "You motherfucker!" from the block. Oh, he was going right at the ref.
So Dak basically he dropped the gloves. He dropped the gloves with Christian Fischer,
and
they fought. And the ref announced the penalties, and they gave Christian Fischer 2 minutes for hooking, and they gave Seeler 2 minutes for instigating a 10-minute misconduct and 5 minutes for fighting. How do you get a fighting major when the other guy doesn't get a fighting major?
He just got a cross-checking penalty.
He got a hooking penalty. It wasn't even cross-checking.
Hooking penalty.
Terrible. Yeah. So Seeler, he threw his mouth guard at the glass, slammed on the boards. Yeah, was just yelling at the ref. And as soon as they kicked him out of the period, he got 17 minutes in penalties, and there was 16 minutes and 59 seconds on the clock in the second period. So he literally missed the whole rest of the second period. And as soon as they kicked him out, he bursted out of the box, ripped the door open, and the linesman had to guide him away from the ref because he was just snapping. He was letting him have it. I don't know if he was able to come back or if they kicked him out of the game issues. But that looked like one of the games of the week with just fights everywhere and aggression, and it was going kind of wild. But yeah, honestly, Seeler and Walker, they must be flying under the radar because I haven't heard. Like, obviously, Philadelphia is getting their better production from somewhere, but you'd think that it would be Sanheim and whoever he's playing with, whether it's York or whoever, that would be the top on that team. But good for them for making this list. It's probably based on Corsi. I'm not reading into it much, but their expected goals percentage is better than 60% at 5-on-5. They played nearly 300 minutes together, so they're just doing solid work, I guess. Number 6, we have Brady Shea and Brett Pesce of the Carolina Hurricanes. Obviously, one of the most well-known about defensive pairings, but I think they've fallen. They've usually been in the top 2 to 3 pairings the last couple of years, and falling to 6 is quite a steep drop considering Carolina is playing not the best hockey this year.
Well, and you got Shea, wasn't it? Shea's their leading goal scorer as a defenseman too, so
yeah,
it's not crazy to say that that pair would be at 6.
Yeah, I agree, and I think they just seem to have. There's definitely the whole team of Carolina has taken a step down.
And for him to be step down, but I mean, I think they have a really deep D core though.
Mm-hmm. The question is if they trade Pesce. I guess that's a big one because he's a UFA and there's no way they can sign him at the end of the year. I think part of them putting Ranta on waivers was so that hopefully his $1.5 million would be gone, and then they could give that little bit of contract to Pesci, and it would be good or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts, Dally, on Shea and Pesci at number 6, Carolina?
Brady Shea, I thought was a really good defenseman for the New York Rangers once upon a time. I mean, yeah, and with Brett Pesce, I mean, yeah, they're not that bad. I know Carolina, obviously, we all know they're formidable. Top team in the Metro Division. So yeah, I think a solid 6th position is not too bad for them.
All
They
right,
got
number
great fantasy
5.
points, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, they do. Drew Doughty, Mikey Anderson, LA Kings, number 5. I'm kind of surprised by this. Doughty has taken quite a few steps backwards. Mikey Anderson's young, but he's decent. He's a good player, and obviously LA is playing pretty phenomenal this year as a team. So for them to I think that this is more of a team-based boost than it is an actual pairing boost. If you look at the two players, any thoughts at all? No, that's it.
I got nothing. Sorry.
Got nothing.
Sorry,
Okay.
I was just kind of reading the report on them. I mean,
Fair enough.
which I guess obviously I haven't really been following LA too much. I mean, I think the team as a whole is outperforming some people's expectations, though.
Definitely. Other than Dubois, he's fallen back. He
Oh,
started hot,
God.
but he's
LA
fallen
lost
off.
that trade.
I think it'll take a couple of years before we can officially say that. Like, one of them have to win the cup. Here's what I find about trades. You could trade whoever you want, wherever you want. If your team doesn't win the cup, no one technically wins the trade. Right? Like, maybe you might win the President's Trophy or whatever, but it's like you didn't win the trade if you don't win the cup. Because the point of the trade is to get better, and to get better is to win the cup. And to win the cup's the ultimate goal. So it's like, if the trade didn't lead to that eventually in like 10 years, then it's like, well, no one really won the trade. All right, number 4, Adam Fox and Ryan Lindgren of New York. I think these guys have definitely been one of the better pairings the last couple of years. Ryan Lindgren's a shot blocking machine, and we all know Adam Fox brings incredible skill to the team. And I think as a pairing, they play extremely well together. Obviously, there's a pairing ahead of them who play better, but I would argue that I would say they're the second best pair in the league. That's me throwing that out there.
I think the Rangers are, as a whole team, they're just continuing to impress, and that D pair alone, I mean, Fox did just have an injury, but I think he's still performing up to everyone's standards on that team, coming back into the lineup. So I think they could be a little bit higher than 4.
Yeah, I agree too. I mean, New York has some great defensemen. You got Jacob Trouba, Keandre Miller. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't. I'd say I think they're third. They're a solid third place for me.
Well, you got at third Evan Bouchard and Matthias Ekholm.
Which is
I have them ahead of
crazy.
that. Yeah.
Which is crazy.
You actually have to look into Bouchard's numbers. He's actually playing a lot better since the team is, and he's playing extremely well on his underlying numbers. Same with Ekholm. But you can't excuse the beginning of the year slump and say that they're the third best pairing. You can't forgive that. It's got to be factored in. And to me, they're on this list of who we've seen. I would say they would be 7th on this list just because of their beginning, not because of their current play.
Exactly. You got to look at it as a whole. Like, you guys just started gelling.
Mm-hmm.
It's where the Rangers were hot from the start. Well, not hot, but
yeah, they've been
playing
better than the start.
Yeah. I do take back Lindgren and Fox at second. I'm putting them where you put them, Dally. I'm putting them at third because number 2 is Quinn Hughes and Philip Hronek.
Yeah.
And that is...
Wow, they're not first?
They're not first. We all know who first is. They're the darling defensive pair. Come on, you know who first is. It's Makar and Taze. Let's be honest. And realistically, they probably are first. But in terms of totally transforming a defense, Hughes and Hronek, what a step. And I think they are unreal as a pair together.
Oh, I ain't gonna be biased. I'd put Quinn Hughes and Phil Peronic on the top of the list. Do you know how good they've been overperforming this year? Like it is crazy. You know, Vancouver has a better record than Colorado, and Phil Peronic and Quinn Hughes has more points combined than both Cale Makar and Devon Taves. So you know what? I'd say first place would go to Vancouver's boys, honestly.
Mm. But here's where I would argue that at least Makar and Taves, I feel like, have had longer history than Quinn Hughes and Hronek have had.
Yeah, first 30 games
and
together, that is fair.
and Makar and Taves, they've showed that continuously they could be, down a little bit, but those two have still performed high, and now Quinn Hughes and Hronek are just, it's their first year and they're killing it, right? So
Yeah, it's yet to be seen through a whole year. We all know what Makar and Taves can do. They are the best pair in the league, and they're going to continue to be the best pair in the league as long as they keep playing the way they are. There's no doubt about it. But I think that Hughes and Hronek are one of the only few pairs, including Lindgren and Fox, who are on their level consistently, night in, night out. Not many teams have that top pair that can do this kind of shutdown work that these guys are doing. All right, let's get into our segments here, our Game Day Tarps segments. Sorry. I'm going to backtrack a little bit because the Team Canada World Juniors added 2 new players to their team, Poitras and Donovan on defense. They have injuries on defense to Leno and Molendijk, and Poitras came back from the Boston Bruins loaned late, so I just wanted to throw that in there that those guys are on the team now. They played, Donovan didn't play, but Poitras played fantastic in his first game. The team won, I think it was 6-2 or 6-3 over Switzerland. The only negative was Macklin Celebrini got game misconduct for boarding. So we'll see if he gets any supplementary discipline because WHF is extremely harsh on that stuff. But hopefully he doesn't. The guy turned, rated Celebrini, went to make the hit. He shouldn't have finished the hit. He got the game misconduct like he deserved, but he shouldn't be suspended further than that. All right, on to our segments. Let's get into game day reviews. This is our randomized team pool where I put an NHL randomizer on, and first team that gets picked goes to Dallas. Second team goes to Dakota. Third team goes to me. It's random. We got to talk about them. So Dallas got Vegas. Dakota, you got Nashville, and I got New Jersey. Last week was the bottom dwellers in the league. This week is the more competitive guys in the league. So whoever wants to start can start us off.
So I guess I'll take the lead here with Vegas. I mean, they're top team in the league. They are currently tied for first with the Vancouver Canucks. They've been kind of plagued with injuries this year. I mean, they also kept the core player group, if you will, from last year's cup winning Cinderella story, you want to call it. It's an expansion team. Yeah, they're doing fairly good for themselves. They were the top dogs of the league all year, and now they're kind of coming slowly back down to earth. Vancouver is now tied with them for first. Yeah, I mean, Aiden Hill and I think Logan Thompson are hurt right now.
Both are, yeah.
So, yeah, they
My
got to call
fantasy
up a
birds.
goalie. So hopefully they can get back on track, rehab, get healthy again, still be the stellar tandem they are again. I can't really see Vegas making too many deals at the deadline. They're still
No.
looking very formidable, so I think they can go back to back with this group still.
Yeah, I'll chip in on
sorry.
Vegas quick. Sorry, I think they're what Biz calls the Coyotes. They're a wagon, right? Like there's no stopping them. Yeah, they're gonna slow down a little bit, but don't play them in the playoffs. They block more shots. So we have our fantasy that we do, the three of us and some buddies, and because I have the Vegas defense guys that I've picked up, I am like 100 shot blocks ahead of everyone else in the league. It's not because of my Tampa defenseman I have. It's solely because of the Vegas defenseman I have. They block shots like no other team, and that is literally what the playoffs are about. Getting in front of shots, blocking shots. No team does it better than Vegas. They put in timely goals, clutch goals. They have goal scorers. They have playmakers. I still would not want to play Vegas in the playoffs, no matter who you are. And I hope we see Edmonton play them again. And I'll be cheering for Vegas.
So I got next.
Yeah,
Yes.
go for it. Yeah.
All right.
With Smashville.
Yeah, Nashville. So they're like basically middle of the pack. Their best player right now, I believe, is Forsberg. Yeah, 38 points in 33 games, and I mean, it just seems like they're kind of staying old, right? So I don't know. You keep seeing things like, well, I guess Barry's got the option to talk to teams and trades now. So I think is Nashville like? Do you guys think Nashville's still trying to be a playoff caliber team, or are they pushing more of the Calgary route with a retool maybe? Because even I think I see things like Saros getting traded or something.
Yeah. Yeah, see, that's Barry Trotz said they're doing a reset. He didn't say rebuild. He didn't say retool. He said reset. But then they keep saying Saros isn't available. I got to be honest. You got to get a package for Saros while you can if you're not going to compete in his window. And same thing, like, you hate to do it to a guy like Yossi, but get what you can for Yossi at this point.
And you signed Ryan O'Reilly. Like, I don't think that guy's
no.
like he's getting the points, but I just don't see him bringing them that much closer to the playoffs. You know?
Exactly. Like, in what they should do, they signed Luke Shen too, right? They signed Luke Shen. They signed Ryan O'Reilly. They should trade Yossi. They should trade Saros. They should trade Fabro, who's in discussions. They should trade McDonough if they can. They might not be able to because of his contract. But if not, then make Ryan O'Reilly your captain on a rebuilding team. Get Luke Shen an assistant captain. Give McDonough the captain. And like, someone needs a captaincy. It needs to not be Yossi. Yossi needs to be moved to a competitor. Get probably the biggest haul you'll see in years because he's the best defenseman that would be available for a long time. And then get something for Saros, also one of the better goalies you would see traded in a long time. Start rebuilding from there. Use the veterans you have to build them up and start from there because they need a total retool. Philip Forsberg. I love Philip Forsberg. He's awesome in Nashville. Should probably get a first round pick or two for him with what he's doing this year because Forsberg's the exact type of player. Next year, he'll just drop half production. So while he's leading the team in scoring, you should probably move him on and get what you can for him.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're just not as exciting or anymore. They don't have like that drive I think they had a couple of years ago, and now they're just kind of getting older and staying middle of the pack where they might make it, but you'll probably get blown out in the first round or you won't make it.
Well, exactly. What's the point on making it if you're just going to lose? Are they in the wild card right now? I'm looking. They are. So they're in the first wild card slot. First wild card slot right now plays Winnipeg.
I take Winnipeg.
I don't know.
Winnipeg, who I think are actually first in the Central right now.
They are, yeah. They're first in the Central. So they would be playing Winnipeg, who people are starting to think the Winnipeg Jets have a chance to win the Stanley Cup this year because of the way
without Kyle Connor right now too. It's crazy.
Exactly. Like, and here's the thing: they're 2 points ahead of Arizona, so they drop down to second wild card. They're playing Vancouver or Vegas. Like, where's the positives in making the playoffs here? I don't see why they would basically burden themselves when they should be going for a top 10 pick. They should be going for top 5 pick, really, and just selling as much as they can. The teams at the bottom, the Sharks, the Blackhawks, the Ducks, they're getting a top 5 pick. And then you have Ottawa, who doesn't want one, and Buffalo, who doesn't want one, and you have Columbus and Montreal, who's outplaying themselves, but should be in that top 5 pick conversation. So there's one spot open in the top 5. Montreal should be trying to get back down to it, and I think Nashville should be the other team who gets back down to it. No one else really is in a position to draft in that top 5. I would even count Arizona as a better team now. They're playing better. It's their turn to start going up. Time for Nashville to go down to the top 5 and try and get there because they're not helping themselves, just floating.
Unfortunately, Chikrin would look really good in Arizona right now.
He would. All right, I'll jump into New Jersey here. A team that started hotter than nobody else in the league, had the terrible injury luck they had with Hughes and Heischer and Hamilton, and then Heischer again, and they just couldn't get in a groove. But now that everybody's back, I don't know if Hamilton's back, but Hughes and Heischer are.
He will not be back till like April, dude.
Okay, so he's gone for a while, which does hurt them, definitely. But they're still sixth in the Metro. They're not winning many games. They're on a 3-game losing streak. All of a sudden, Lindy Ruff, who was they were calling for his head last year, then he took them on the Cinderella run. There we go. Can't talk. Cinderella run to beat the Rangers. Then Lindy Ruff was everybody's favorite coach, and now he's on the chopping block again. The fans want him gone, and I don't know. They just can't seem to sort it out. And I don't think that they're going to be a playoff team this year. I think that even though they are literally right behind Tampa Bay, just out of a wild card spot in the East, where are we here? They are 3 points back at Tampa, who is just outside of the wild card spot, and they have 3 games in hand, and they have 2 games in hand on Carolina, who's only at 38 and they're at 34. So they have games in hand, but they aren't playing like the team that you think is going to get into the playoffs. So to me, I think that they're going to miss again this year. I think Lindy Ruff will be fired. I have a few coaches that are going to get fired. I have Pascal Vincent, number 1, Columbus. He's got to go.
Public enemy number 1.
I got Lindy Ruff, number 2, just because the underperforming team. I had DJ Smith. Who else should we have? I think that's really it. Those are my 2. Maybe whoever's coaching in Buffalo. Like, is it Don Granato? Is that who the coach is there? I don't
Not too
remember
sure.
but either way, those are the teams that need a coaching change if they're going to turn their season around. Like, I don't think this coaching change trend is going to stop. Teams are seeing how well it's working for the other guys that are doing it. They're like, well, we got to jump on somewhere. We can't just keep floating at the bottom when you want to be a competitive team. All right, so that's it for game day reviews. We're going to get into our Battle of the Tarps. Okay, we are talking about ECHL Rapid City, their alternate jerseys, and the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League Flin Flon Bombers and their home jerseys. And it's the Rapid City Rush versus the Flin Flon Bombers. So, Dakota, I know Flin Flon has a close place in your heart a little bit. You kind of were born there in that area, not in Flin Flon, but in that area. And actually, this whole series kind of does, because Rapid City is the ECHL team of the Flames. So really, this is just your jersey breakdown here. But let's start with Rapid City and their alternates, who we got in the randomizer. Whoever wants to take the lead, they can.
Comparing them, I don't think Rapid City comes close. It's an okay jersey. They probably could have done without the Wranglers logo on the shoulder. It's kind of, I think they got the Flames logo on the other shoulder, I believe.
They do, yeah. Yeah, they do.
It almost kind of ruins the jersey because it's a different red and yellow, so they don't really have that in their own color scheme. So I think that ruins the jersey aspect. Not a bad uniform, I guess. It's pretty basic.
Yeah, I personally like the jersey, but I'm going to lean towards it's not going to take the cake. I mean, it's a very generic R for Rapid City, cresting the middle of the chest there. I mean, it would have been cool if the sleeves kind of like resembled the top of the R, how it's kind of got like that waves. The rush. The rush. That would have been cool if the stripes on the sleeves kind of look like that. I mean, if I was actually rating this jersey out of 10, I'd give it maybe like a 5. It's like Dakota says, very generic.
Like, you start an EASHL club on Shell 24, dude. That's a basic kit, dude.
That's your jersey?
That's like an opening starter pack jersey move right there,
Again, I guess I'm going to come in against you guys because I actually like the jersey. I think there's a lot more creative ECHL jerseys out there, but personally, Dak, I'm a huge sucker for putting your affiliated teams on the shoulders. Not every team does it. I think it's sick. I just think it includes these guys who never have a hope of playing in the NHL. It gives them a chance to wear the Flames logo somewhere on their jersey. It gives them a chance to rep their organization, to feel a part of something. But I like their R. I mean, maybe I'm biased because my name starts with R, so I've always liked the letter, but I really like the way that they made the letter look. The like you said, Dallas, the rushing off the one edge, almost like a wing or a feather or something like that.
Yeah, a little bit
I
more
like
creativity, right?
I like that on the R. You're right, it is a little bit bland, but I like the deep red. I like the black and white. It's very New Jersey esque, and I like it. I'm gonna say I like it. It's my pick out of these two. I know you guys disagree, but let's jump on to Flin Flon to hear how wrong I am.
Yeah, I mean, I like the darker maroon or burgundy, whatever that is. Just I like everything about the jersey. I mean, I guess it is basic as well, but it just looks cleaner in my eye. I don't know why.
Yeah, and the Flin Flon logo itself and jersey kit really hasn't really changed over the decades. I mean, it itself also looks plain, but man, the cream white with that maroon burgundy look just looks so clean together, boys. Like, it's a nice jersey, you know? And then their alternate jersey just has a giant B. So, like, it's kind of comparable to what we just did with Rapid City, with just the generic, letter in the middle. But the only thing that sells me the most for this jersey, with obviously, the logo saying Flin Flon Bombers, just, I think the color scheme, I think it just looks pretty fucking good.
I'm gonna be honest. I think that logo is chaotic. I don't like the logo. I think there's way too much going on. I like the circle with the Flin Flon, but I don't like. I think the B in the middle of Bombers is ugly. I don't know what's going on underneath that word. All the random, I guess it's an explosion going on in the background. It looks chaotic. It almost like why the one line comes up between Flin Flon in the lettering. I don't really get that. I like the maroon. I like the white. I think they could have done better with the letters. They're just white letters. There's nothing really to them. I'm a sucker for a good helmet, though. Definitely a nice helmet. The maroon, the dark purple helmet. I gotta love that. But they just two-toned it. And I guess I'm kind of being a hypocrite because I'm a Lightning fan and they're as two-tone as it gets. But I just am not. Yeah, I think I don't know. I think it's just the logo. The logo, it's just overcomplicated for no reason when it doesn't have to be, to me.
Yeah, you're wrong, bud. So,
I've been wrong a
moving
lot
on.
tonight. But either way, that pretty much is it for episode 16 of Gameday Tarps. Thanks again to everyone for listening. As always, go listen to us on Spotify or Apple Music, anywhere you do listen to podcasts. Find us on YouTube where you can watch this recording that we're doing right now. Follow us on all social media. Pretty much all of them are at Gameday Tarps or Gameday Tarps podcast. You can find us anywhere. And as always, thanks for listening and hope you have a great night.